Sure, sure. Well, I come from this virtual world, and for the last 20 years or so, Second Life, my world, along with many other video games, have been a kind of a simulation, if you will, that has allowed rapid testing of a lot of alternative ideas about how the world might work. Like, how do we make an economy work? How do we make it stable? Um, what's the nature of our identity as we, communicate with each other? Under what conditions does capitalism run into different kinds of problems? Even things like especially in Second Life, things like tax structures, many different ideas around local and community governance. So it's been an unusual thing. We've been able to use these worlds to look at all kinds of variations on these themes, and I've had the fun of being like having a front row seat to all those experiments over that time. And the real world is now changing so rapidly and being affected by, I mean, even compared to like 1994 when I started working, as a technologist on the internet, the world is changing so quickly and it's affected by so many big technologies like AI and social media that are just profound changes in how we interact with each other and how we work that I think in a few years, the real world may look maybe in ways more like a virtual world than it does like the physical one that we know today, right? So we learn a lot from that, looking at these things. And, I could spend hours talking about the different things that like I've learned watching that happen, but I'll just pick one thing to convey to start, which is under these kinds of really unpredictable conditions where you really like AI, you really don't know what's coming next. The one thing we've seen over and over in virtual environments is that more brains are better at solving complex problems than one. That a bottom-up approach to how we are together, say in a virtual world, is much better than a top-down one. And a fundamental pillar of the idea of democracy, right, is the same thing, that more brains are better than one, that we don't want to just bind ourselves to, one person's ideas about how we're going to get out of this. And so I think that's one and maybe the biggest takeaway that I've had from this experience of watching virtual worlds. And I think that Vice President Harris and Tim Walz are, in that regard, much more likely to protect and defend democracy, a bottom-up approach, as our fundamental tool at this moment for decision making. And beyond that, to remain flexible and responsive and adaptive to new ideas. At the point we're at in society and in the world right now and in technology, I don't want to trust anyone, no matter who they are, to be the one person, that we would entrust, uh, to lead us out of this, because the changes and the things we're up against right now are bigger than all of us. And so I guess as a start, that's what I'd say. Back to you.
That's awesome. Very cool.